Just about anyone with a kid knows about Diary of a Wimpy Kid. More than 40 million copies of the series are in print, 37 countries, and the latest installment, The Ugly Truth, debuted at #1 on all the national bestseller lists. The man behind it all, the original Wimpy Kid, Jeff Kinney, joins us this morning. Great to have you here. And we got some kids from, where are you all from? You're from all over New York.
Brooklyn.
Queens, Brooklyn. And I love before we came on camera, they were all bragging to you about how quickly they read your books. Everyone in a week?
Yeah, it usually takes me like 2 days or something.
Wow. So, and a lot of the things really happened to you.
Yeah, there's actually like a lot of my childhood moments in these books. There's a lot of my childhood DNA, at least. You know, I'm sort of writing from experience and trying to put the funny stuff in there.
Yeah, but Greg Heffley is not you. He's only the worst parts.
Right, yes. He's definitely not a role model. I think he's just a kid whose life is being captured at the worst possible time, which is middle school.
Well, I was asking my daughter Elliot last night what it is about these books that she loves, and what she said is that it explains a real kid's life.
That's great to hear. I mean, the best critical response I ever got was when somebody said they couldn't detect the adult behind the child. You know, I really try to write in an authentic voice, and you know, every so often I catch myself sounding like a grown-up, and I try to, you know, tamp that down.
But you did originally write this for a grown-up, specifically your father.
That's right. I actually wrote these books with like my father and other people who love comics in mind. You know, I wrote this big 1,300-page book and put it up online, and I had an adult audience in mind. So it's a surprise to me that, you know, that it's been popular with kids.
You had a question for Jeff just before we came on the air. You wanted to know how do you write these so fast?
I wish I could write them fast. I spent about 9 months working really hard. I spent about 4 hours a day just trying to come up with one joke, and it just takes me forever. So it's funny that you think that these things come out fast.
Yeah.
So tell us what happens to Greg in The Ugly Truth.
In The Ugly Truth, Greg starts to see the other kids around him go through the awkward changes that are supposed to come with the age, but nothing really happens to Greg. You know, what I decided about him is that he's a cartoon character, and because he's a cartoon character, he can't really grow up. And so, although puberty and adolescence is happening to the kids around him, Greg is going to be stuck in a state of arrested development
And you
forever.
do capture those awkward moments. He comes upon this book, What the Heck Just Happened to My Body, in his mom's room. There's the video in health class. We all went through that awkward moment in 6th grade.
That's right. They take you into a room, they separate the boys from the girls, and they show you these awful videos that are about 20 years out of date. And, you know, that was my experience.
And it must be gratifying to you to know, and it's wonderful to hear all these kids here bragging about how quickly they read the books, how many of the books they read, and the whole series has turned out to be a real turn-on for reluctant readers.
Yeah, I started to get emails from parents and teachers who said, you know, my reluctant reader, this is the first book they ever read. And I'd never heard the phrase before, and I thought it was just a coincidence. And I've since come to realize that reluctant reader just means boy anyway. But, you know, there are a lot of girls who like my books too, and that's great. I'm glad that this is a gateway to more and better reading down the line.
You have 2 boys, 8 and 5. Do they help with the writing?
They do. You know, they sit in my room with me and they throw jokes my way, and they've turned into really great readers themselves. They, you know, they're just paralyzed by a good book, so that's a good feeling as a parent.
Okay, kids, what do you want the Wimpy Kid to do next? Go ahead.
I want the Wimpy Kid. I want to see what happens. I want to know if he ever dates Holly.
Whoa!
You know, that's about all that's left is, you know, dating and girlfriends. You know, do you think Greg Heffley should have a girlfriend?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I'll think about that.
Vote is in. He wanted to date.
Huh?
And then he gets dumped in like the 7th. Oh man, what happened?
Oh man, going to the dark side, Jeff Kinney. Thank you very much. That was terrific. You can read an excerpt from The Ugly Truth on our website at abcnews.com/GMA.